You know that moment? When someone brings up something you did months, years, or even decades ago. They use it like a weapon. A past mistake, a failed relationship, a wrong choice. And suddenly, you're not living in the present anymore. You're trapped in yesterday. The worst part? You can't escape it because they keep pulling you back. But here's what most people don't understand about people who use your past against you. They're not actually interested in your growth or redemption. They're interested in power. And Machiavelli understood something profound about power dynamics that most of us spend our entire lives learning. He knew exactly why people weaponize your past and, more importantly, how to neutralize it. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear will change the way you respond to anyone who tries to keep you trapped in history. Let's start with the psychology of why people do this. Machiavelli taught us that in any relationship, there's always a power dynamic. Someone is trying to gain leverage over someone else. Whether it's a friend, a family member, a boss, or a romantic partner, when they bring up your past mistakes, they're doing something very calculated. They're creating an imbalance. They're saying, I have information about you that makes you smaller than me right now. It's a power move disguised as concern or honesty. They frame it as, I'm just being real with you, or you need to face what you did. But what they're really doing is establishing dominance. Machiavelli would recognize this instantly. He wrote extensively about how power operates in shadows. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes power is the ability to make someone feel ashamed. Sometimes power is knowing secrets that keep someone small. The people who do this have usually learned that your past is your weakness. They've noticed that you feel guilt about certain things, regret about certain choices, and they weaponize that vulnerability. They know that if they invoke that guilt, you'll become defensive, apologetic, or desperate to prove you've changed. This puts you in a reactive position, and in a reactive position, you have no power. You're always defending, you're always explaining, you're always trying to convince them that you're different now. But Machiavelli understood something crucial about people who are always defending. They lose. He believed that the best offense is to never appear to be on offense at all. So what does this actually mean when someone uses your past against you? It means you need to understand something fundamental. Your past is not your present. Your past is not your identity. Your past is a chapter that has already been written and closed. The people who keep bringing it up are doing so because they're invested in keeping you small. They need you to feel like you haven't grown, haven't changed, haven't evolved. Because the moment you truly believe in your own transformation, they lose their power over you. Here's what Machiavelli would say you should do. First, never defend the past. This is crucial. When someone brings up something you did years ago, your instinct is to explain it away, to justify it, to prove that it was different circumstances or that you didn't mean it. Don't do this. Defense is weakness. Machiavelli taught that a leader should never waste energy defending yesterday's battles. Instead, acknowledge it with complete neutrality. Say something like, yes, I did that. That was who I was then. Notice the power in those words. You're not apologizing. You're not defending. You're simply acknowledging a fact with the authority of someone who has moved on. This immediately neutralizes their attack because you've removed the emotional charge they were counting on. The second thing Machiavelli would tell you is this. Never let them define what your past means about your present. This is where most people fail. Someone says, you cheated on your ex, so you're untrustworthy. Or, you failed at that business, so you're a failure. Or, you made that mistake, so you're reckless. And we accept their interpretation. We internalize their definition of us. But here's the thing. Your past actions don't determine your current value. Period. The moment you argue against their interpretation, you're playing their game. Instead, You have to simply refuse to accept their framing, not aggressively, not defensively, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows something they don't. Say this when someone tries to use your past against you. I appreciate you bringing that up. That was an important lesson for me. I learned from it. You apparently haven't learned anything from seeing me change, so that's something for you to think about. This statement does something brilliant. It acknowledges their point without accepting their judgment. It demonstrates that you've evolved, and it subtly points out that their continued focus on your past reveals something about them, not about you. Machiavelli understood that the best defense is to make people question their own motives. But here's the deeper layer that most people miss. The people who constantly bring up your past are usually afraid of something. They're afraid that if you truly move on, truly change, truly become successful and whole, you'll leave them behind. They're afraid that your growth will expose their stagnation, so they keep pulling you backward because it's the only way they know how to keep you near them, on their level, in a place where they still have control. Understanding this changes everything. It's not personal. It's not really about your past. It's about their fear of losing power over you. Machiavelli would tell you that the most powerful response to someone who uses your past against you is indifference, not cruelty, not coldness, but indifference. Not caring what they think about your history is the ultimate power move, because the moment they realize that their judgment of your past no longer affects you, they lose their weapon. They become irrelevant. This doesn't mean you ignore them. It means you engage with them from a place of peace, not from a place of desperation or need for validation. Here's the final thing you need to understand. People who constantly use your past against you are usually dealing with their own past. They're projecting their inability to move forward onto you. They're stuck, and they need you to be stuck too, so they don't feel alone in that stuckness. The moment you truly leave that behind, you're out of their reach. You're no longer available for their guilt, their shame, their need to keep you small, and that's when they usually disappear or change their tune. Sometimes they'll even apologize for holding you to your past, but by then it won't matter to you because you've already moved on. Remember this: your past is not who you are. Your past is what taught you who to become, and anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is someone who's invested in your smallness. They're invested in your powerlessness. Machiavelli wouldn't waste a second on people like that, and neither should you. The question isn't whether they're right about your past. The question is whether you're going to let them define your future. The answer to that question is always yours to give. And once you understand that, no one can ever use your past against you again.